is Anthony Cesari with SuccessForYourSongs.com, and in this video we're going to be looking at a very common lyric writing mistake that can often make your words be misheard when your audience is listening to them. So I'm going to show you an example using one of my songs, Now I Know My Home. So take a listen to that in the, I've got a link for that in the upper right hand side of this video. We're mainly going to be talking about the beginning of the first verse. So give the first verse a listen. You can listen to the whole thing if you want. I won't argue with that. But we are going to be talking about the first verse in this video. So pause this, do that, and then come back and we'll talk about it. Really what I want to talk about in this video has to do with what are known as feminine rhymes, or sometimes they're called words with feminine endings. And that's when a word has its stressed syllable as the syllable to the second to last syllable in the word. So let's talk about that in more detail. Before I do, I just want to mention that if you have not yet subscribed to this YouTube channel to stay updated on our latest songwriting videos, you can do that with the little subscribe button on the lower right hand side of the screen. And also make sure you hit the all notifications button there so that you can get first access to a video when we first release them. And if you haven't yet downloaded our free lyric writing cheat sheets for a lot more lyric writing info like what you're going to learn in this video, you can do that in the upper right hand side of this video. So be sure to do that as well. Okay, so back to this concept of feminine rhyme. So basically the first four lines in this song have the words that end each of those four lines have feminine endings. So spinning, if you say that, spin gets the accent, and the ning part isn't accented. It's the unstressed part of that word, spinning. You can hear that. This second word, the second line, they reel the road in. Technically, road is a masculine, has a masculine ending because it's one syllable, which is a noun, and it's stressed. But since it ends in a preposition, prepositions generally don't get stressed. So rode in kind of feels like spinning in the way that the stresses are distributed throughout the word. Spinning, rode in. So the way that, if this still seems confusing, I'm going to get a little bit more into this, so just bear with me. But right now, let's just listen to how these words show up in this song. And you'll hear that when they're sung, they basically sound like when they're spoken. So just listen to these first four lines, and then we'll talk about that.
My wheels are spinning, they reel the road in, the distant city is slowly growing.
Okay, so basically what's happening there is, in music, if you want your words to be heard properly, you generally want the stresses of the word to align with the stresses in the music. And in music, the strongest beat of the measure is always going to be the downbeat. The first beat of the measure is going to be the strongest. The third beat's pretty strong as well. But the other beats start to fall off in strength from there. But whenever you have a word landing on the downbeat, it should be a stressed syllable. So in this song, the spin in spinning is hitting that downbeat. It starts a little bit before, you can hear it, like the S kind of comes in on some of the fore end, but the meat of that word is hitting the downbeat. Same thing with road, the first syllable in city and the first syllable in growing. So it makes those words, when you hear them, sound the way they're supposed to be spoken. What happens a lot of times in songwriting is those stresses, the stresses in the word and the stresses in the music don't align, and then words get misheard. Here's what it could have sounded like had I misstressed the words in the first four lines by putting the last syllable, these syllables that are not supposed to be stressed, here, if I had put those closer to being directly on that downbeat. My wheels are spinning, they reel the road in, the distant city is slowly growing. So that's why it's important to know, because you might have been thinking at the start of this video, like, who cares if it's a feminine or a masculine word? But that's why it matters, because when those stresses at the end of a feminine word are supposed to not be stressed, but you put them on a beat that is, they can sound awkward. You could see, like, city, that's probably one of the most commonly misstressed words in songwriting ever. How many songs have you heard where you hear the word city? That shows up a lot. So that's something to be aware of. And if you're not sure, like I said, you can hear this stuff just by saying it: spinning, rode in, city, growing. You can hear the stresses, like how the first syllable in those examples are stronger than the second. But if you're still not sure, one thing that you can do is you can check a dictionary. So let's take a look at dictionary.com. And here is the entry for city. And you can see right here, it shows how it's pronounced. And you can see the part in bold is the part that is the stressed part of the word. So that's how I know now that city is city and not city. So it only shows you this stuff for multi-syllable words. If a word is a single syllable, general rule of thumb is, if it's a noun, it is going to be stressed. And if it's a preposition, it isn't. Verbs will be stressed. But that's why rode in, you got, noun, preposition, so stress, unstressed, which matches with, the other feminine words that are in this section. And a lot of times, even if what I'm presenting here is a little bit too technical for you, then just be really careful about listening back to your music. Record it when you come up with a melody that you put words to, and listen to it. If you start to hear words like spinning or rode in or city, try and be conscious of that stuff, because listening back to it is a great way to hear it. A lot of times when you're writing it, you won't, but then you record it and listen back and it's like, oh, wait, that sounds weird. You realize that something's off with it and you're not sure why. Now you can come back to this and make sure that the stresses in the words are aligning with the beats in the music so that it sounds like it's supposed to. So I hope that helps. If you'd like to hear this song again, you can even save it or stream it with the link right here on the screen. And if you're looking for a lot more ways to improve your lyric writing, I've got a couple of free cheat sheets that you can grab right here. And if you have not yet subscribed to this YouTube channel, please tap our logo on the screen for that. Thank you for checking this one out.
And now it's time.